Alright everyone, welcome back. On the bench today is the Ruger Hawkeye Long Range target. This one's chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor. This rifle has a Mauser style action. It's a controlled round feed. It has a 26-inch heavy contour barrel. Barrel's free floated. It's cold hammer forged 4140 chrome moly steel with 5R rifling. If you're not familiar with 5R rifling, Google it. I don't want to go into it too much in depth now, but it's a neat thing. Seems to work pretty well. This rifle has the same muzzle brake that Ruger puts on its precision rifles. It seems to do a pretty good job of reducing recoil without being insanely loud, like a lot of muzzle brakes. This rifle comes with a Picatinny rail with 20 MOA built into it. The receiver is also milled for the traditional style Ruger rings. The rifle has an interesting trigger. Seems to be a new thing for Ruger. I've never seen a trigger like it in one of their rifles. It's a two-stage trigger that feels very nice. It's a little bit heavier than what I prefer on a dedicated target rifle. I think something around 1 pound or 1.5 pounds would be good. This one is a little bit heavier than that, but very nice. Got right about 2 pounds. Yeah, right at exactly 2 pounds. Now two-stage, so you got some take up here. It feels like, I don't know, maybe a half a pound of resistance. You come to a firm wall, and then a very clean break. I like the trigger. Like I said, it may be a little heavy for a target rifle, but not bad. On the Ruger's website, they claim that the trigger is adjustable, but in the manual that comes with the rifle, they say it is not adjustable. But at any rate, I think it's fine. I'll probably leave it where it is, even if I do figure out how to adjust it. Oh, the rifle has a pretty nice stock on it. It's a laminate wood stock, and if you've seen my my video on the 375 Ruger guide gun, you'll know that I'm not a huge fan of Ruger's laminate wood stocks. I had some issues with that one. We'll see if this one fares better. I love the ergonomics on it. It kind of feels like a Macmillan A5 style stock, if you're familiar with that. Feels good, ergonomics are great. Pretty vertical pistol grip, pretty wide in the palm. Now it has an adjustable comb. You can move it forwards and back, up and down. There's this little lock lever here to lock it into place. Works pretty good. It's plastic. I mean, it's not a high dollar item, but it seems to work pretty well. Stock is also adjustable for length of pull using these spacers, very similar to the stock on the Ruger guide gun. Just the screws that run through into the stock, and a pretty good squishy butt pad on it. Not that this rifle has really any recoil at all. Now it has pretty nice bottom metal on it for the mag. It's aluminum, very sturdy. It comes with one 10-round AI style mag. I'm sure any AI mag will work just fine in it. And big mag release, easy to hit. Very good, I like that. And you can see here it also has a length of M-lock mounted into the bottom of the stock. And it also comes with a M-lock pick rail if you want to mount a bipod onto it. The stock also has a couple QD cups for sling swivels. Got one on each side in the back, and on the front it has one that's reversible. Right now it's coming out the left. You can unscrew it and switch it over to the right if you want. As you can see, it's definitely not a flush cup. I mean, we're sticking out there about 3/8 of an inch. I don't really like that a whole lot. I wish it was a bit more flush. If you're shooting off bags, that's something that can rub and snag. I might see about just taking this right off. I don't know if I'm going to run a sling on this or not, but if that becomes a problem, I'll just get rid of it. So I just wanted to do a quick overview of the rifle. I don't want to get too in-depth with it. If you want all the specs, you can go to Ruger's website. Also, you know, it's a brand new rifle, just got it. I don't do unboxing videos. I don't like unboxing videos. To me, unboxing sounds too much like a gender reveal. And if you don't know what that is, that's where you have a party and little Johnny decides whether or not he wants to be little Johnny or little Susie. And it sounds like an unboxing, and I'm just not going to do that. So for testing purposes, I mounted a Athlon Aries BTR scope. It's a 4.5 to 27 by 50 with the mill reticle, and I have Vortex match rings on it, medium. Got the height just about right for how I shoot, the way I like it, and how it fits the length of my face and everything. Seems to work just about right. I have a fairly inexpensive bipod on here. It's a UTG bipod that I just had laying around, so I threw that on for now till I decide what I want to do for a bipod. Maybe I'll spring for an Atlas, but that's a chunk of change there. If you've seen my videos, you know I'm a dedicated hand loader. I almost never buy factory ammo. It's usually crap, and it's extremely expensive, even though it's crap. But for the initial testing of this rifle, I wanted to run factory ammo through it, at least a couple boxes, and see how it does. So I picked up a couple boxes of Hornady match in 140 grain ELD and 147 grain ELD. So we'll see how that does. Now, like I said, it's a new rifle, but I bought it a few weeks ago, and I'm just now getting to this because there was a hiccup with it. Got the rifle, and I was checking it out, disassembled it, cleaned everything really good, put it back together, and I was function testing it, and I discovered that it would function properly with the mag loaded, but if you're going to single load it, if you're going to drop a round in and close the bolt wouldn't drop down. It would go forward and just kind of hang up right there, like it was catching, didn't want to drop down. So, you know, I ran a whole bunch of rounds through the mag, and I discovered that about 1 in 10 out of the mag would do the same thing, and about 1 in 2, about 50% of the time, the bolt wouldn't drop on a round by single feeding it. So, I mean, that told me it had a problem with the extractor, and there's the massive, big old stainless steel Mauser style claw on there. Told me that there's an issue with the extractor, that it wasn't snapping over the round properly, that when it would pick up a round off the mag, the round would slip under it, and it would work most of the time. But single feeding, where it has to snap over it, and yes, you can do that with a Ruger M77. I know some actual Mausers you can't, because it's not a beveled extractor. You got to pick it up off the mag. M77s, it's beveled. They're designed to single feed if you want to. And specifically with this, they advertise it as being easy to single feed and all that good stuff. I own a ton of M77s. None of them have ever done that. So I deduced it was an extractor problem. Called Ruger, told them what was going on, and they didn't want to screw around with it as far as sending me parts or anything. They wanted the whole rifle. So immediately they emailed me a prepaid label, shipped the rifle back to them. They did what I thought they were going to do. They replaced the extractor, and they also said they polished the feed ramp and you know, gave it a once over and test fired it and all that, and got it working good. Shipped it back, so all is well, functioning perfectly now. I hope that's not an issue that is common. I hope they didn't have a bad batch of extractors. Maybe mine was just a fluke. But there's a lot of guys out there who would just assume you can't single feed it, and that they would have this hiccup with the rifle. And I mean, that'd be terrible to have a rifle for however many years that had this flaw to it. when, you know, Ruger's a good company, they'll take care of you. Unfortunately, Ruger's quality control, in my opinion, is not what it used to be. I think they've cut a lot of corners to increase production and increase profits. They churn out a lot of rifles. Most of them are really good. But I've had kind of a bad run. I love Ruger. I've been buying this stuff for years, my whole life really. But the last 5 Ruger firearms I bought, 4 of the 5 had some kind of defect. And 3 of them required the gun being shipped back to Ruger. And it's stuff that could have been caught before it left the factory by properly function testing the rifle and you know, checking the specs on the parts before assembly, and just general quality control. And I think they've gotten sloppy in a lot of regards. And you can see that you know, the way the bolt is. I mean, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but 20 years ago, an M77 bolt was polished to a mirror shine. It was perfect. And this is, you can just tell it's not the same level of care and dedication that went into the firearms before. The finish on the barrel, the receiver, the bottom metal, all that's very good. I don't see any tooling marks on anything. So with the exception of that extractor, this seems to be like a very well put together M77 by Ruger. You know, they, like I said, they always take care of it, which is great. It makes me think of like a woman that you really love, who you know, you love her to death, but she keeps doing you wrong. But then you know, you call her on it, and then she says she's sorry and bakes you an apple pie and makes it all better. But then you know she's gonna burn you again. So for me, it's become like this vicious thing with Ruger. I love them. I love their guns. There's really nobody else that makes the guns I want but them, in a lot of cases anyway. I mean, not in the same price range. You can get whatever you want if money's no object. But, you know, here they had to pay to send this rifle back from Alaska, shipping from Alaska back to Connecticut or wherever, repair it, ship it back, when they could have caught that so easily just by function testing the rifle. So the target test, the test target I should say, that they shot the rifle with when they tested it after the repair was very promising. 10 rounds basically in a bug hole, and it said 50 yards on it. And so granted, that's off some type of rest, like a ransom rest. I'm sure it's not just a guy shooting it, it's in a big vise. But so that tells me it's got a great barrel on it. And the rifle itself is a beast. It weighs about little over 11 pounds naked, with no scope or anything. And the way I've got it set up here, it's like 14.5 pounds. So it's a freaking tank. In my opinion, almost useless for field use. I'm not going to hike any mountains with this on my back, not if I can help it. You know, if you're deer hunting out of a box blind or something like that, a fixed position, it'd be great. Shooting across, you know, bean fields or something like that, it'd be perfect. I don't think I'll use it a whole lot for hunting here in Alaska. I have other rifles that are better suited for that. I really wanted a good long range precision rifle, a budget minded one. But if you've seen my other videos, you'll know that I had a Tikka CTR with a 24-inch barrel, stainless one, and I had tons of problems with it. I think the chamber was cut wrong. I think it really had a bad barrel on it. It would the cold bore shots were all over the place. If you warmed up the rifle a little bit, it would shoot a pretty good group, but it was just very, very finicky, very sensitive to heat, with heat stringing. And you know, it would shoot a half-inch group one time, and same ammo, same conditions, 15 minutes later it would shoot, you know, 9/10 of an inch or 1.25 inches. It was just all over the place, and I got sick of it, parted ways with it. But I did develop a respect for the 6.5 Creedmoor, and I discovered that I liked loading it, liked hand loading for it, and so looking for another platform, being a Ruger guy when this came out. Not really a fan of the Ruger precision rifle. I know most of them shoot very well. It's a great rifle for the money. It's a lot of gun for the money. Just really not my style. I prefer this type of stock, and I've always loved the M77 action, Mauser style action. And this still retains the Winchester 70 style 3-position safety, like I've gone over in all my other videos. So enough of the boring stuff. Let's hit the range and see how this thing groups. Alright guys, well if you've seen my other videos, you're used to the horrible range footage. I'm pretty happy with the results. That first group, I was shooting with the crappy UTG bipod, and I just couldn't get steady with it. Granted, that's my first group with this rifle. You know, it's been shot at the factory. They did all the testing and everything, so it's not like the very first rounds, but it's a new barrel. And my first time shooting it, I only got a 1.1 inch group. Pretty ugly to me. But, you know, I just didn't feel steady on that bipod, and I had a little cheapy Caldwell rear bag on. And it's also cold out. I'm wearing, listen to me making excuses. I'm wearing all bundled up with Carhartts and everything. And so after that group, I took the bipod off, and I went to my Caldwell sandbag. That's what they call it, Caldwell tack driver bag. I use this thing a lot. I use it a lot. I really like it. I've gotten used to shooting with it, and super steady. It cradles your rifle. It's smooth on the inside, so it allows your rifle to slide with the recoil. Works great. So I took the bipod off and shot it the next two groups off that tack driver bag, and then so the first group there was with the 140 ELDM. Now, these groups are better than they look. These dots are actually 5/8 of an inch. They're not 1 inch target dots. They're 5/8 of an inch. So, first crappy group, 1.1 inches. But I noticed the velocity. You know, this has a 26-inch barrel on it. And Hornady advertises the velocity of the 140s at 2,710 feet per second. I'm assuming that's probably out of a 24-inch barrel. Out of this 26-inch barrel, I was shooting over the chronograph, and I averaged about 2850, so about 140 feet per second faster than what the box says. So, pretty fast barrel. The extra couple inches really gave it a boost. Now on the 147 grain ELDM, now I'm shooting off the tack driver bag. Much more steady. You know, I warmed up, got a little bit of a feel for the trigger, and shot a .63, and these are 5-round groups. So 0.63 inch group, pretty good in my book. And velocity was also higher than the, what they say it's going to be on the box, 2750. Not quite as much a gain as on the 140s, but it was 55 feet per second faster than advertised, and a 0.63 inch group. And then I wanted to reshoot the 140 ELDM now that I'm on the bag and warmed up and getting a little bit more used to the trigger. And I derfed it. I usually don't make excuses on my groups. If they suck, they suck. But I know I yanked it on that shot right there. I could feel it when it went off. It just still getting used to that 2-stage trigger. First rifle I've had with a 2-stage trigger. But these 4 went into a 0.28 inch group. If you add that flyer, 0.71, so still not horrible even with that for a brand new rifle with me with the first 15 rounds out of it. I think this 0.28 is what it actually is. That's the rifle, I think, is a sub half minute of angle gun. Anything beyond half minute, it's me. It's just me derfing it. So I think as I get used to that trigger, as I get used to the rifle, and with everything going good, I think with factory ammo, it's a half MOA gun, which is what I've been looking for. It's what I could not get out of that Tikka CTR. It looks like that's what I'm getting out of this, and I'm extremely happy with the initial results. Now, I'm a dedicated hand loader. I am not into spending $30 for 20 rounds of ammo that, I mean, it's accurate, don't get me wrong. A lot of people shoot the hell out of this stuff, and it's very accurate for them in a lot of different rifles, which says a lot for it. It's, it's a very forgiving load, but from what I've seen, the standard deviation is pretty horrible. The numbers are pretty horrible in general with factory ammunition. So I'll be working up some hand loads. I like the idea of the 147 grain ELD match. I'll definitely be shooting for some loads with that, and probably try the 140s as well. They both shoot very good. I have no doubt whatsoever that with proper hand loading and familiarizing myself with the rifle, that I'll be shooting sub half MOA with this. So I hope you'll come back and join me for that. And we're going to take it out to 1,000 yards, do some testing with that, and see how it does out there with the hand loads. If you have any questions or comments, something I forgot to mention, I'm sure there's plenty, go ahead and put it in the comments down below. And if you like what we're doing with these videos, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.